This is the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Today is May the 9th, 2024. It is 5:30 p.m. Item number one, this is the work session. Item number one is a request. We discussed a request for an extension of the commencement of construction by Kip Hamden LLP. That is in regard to a parcel of land that was sold to Kip Hamden in 2021. It was the disposition and development agreement was executed on the April 12th, 2021, and we closed on it on November the 9th, 2021. That disposition and development agreement called for the commencement of construction to begin no later than 36 months from the date of closing, which would put that to November 9th of 2024. If you all recall, and I provided in the packet provided another copy of the letter that was sent to the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. And last month, Tim Lamb was here in person to present the same information due to certain circumstances, which include the increased cost of construction. They don't see that construction to commence by the end of 2021. Therefore, they've requested that there be an extension to that, to the agreement of 36 months, which would take it to November of 2024. I presented that information, that was presented to us last month. I took that information and sent it to both Mike.
27 now?
27.
27.
Yeah. Did I say 6?
Is that 24?
24?
You were on 21 to 24, the original contract.
Okay, yeah. So they're asking for a three-year extension, which would take it to the year end of to November of 2027. I sent that request and gave information to both Mike Scholl of Ayers and Associates, who created the original disposition and development agreement. He created a contract amendment, which went to Paul Benedetti as well. And Paul Benedetti took that, and as a lawyer will do, they will enhance it and took it to that. So that's the contract amendment number one that sits in there, sent to everybody for prior review. In speaking with both Mike Scholl and Paul Benedetti, they both said that these kinds of requests are not unusual, not out of the ordinary, that a lot of developers, for a lot of different reasons, will encounter delays. And so these do happen. It's not an unusual request, and neither one of them feel that it was going to be detrimental to the project. It's just reliant on how the Urban Renewal, Trinidad Urban Renewal feels about it to take it forward. Now, at the April 11th meeting, Commissioner Lopez did ask, or did suggest that possibly, or for Kip Hamden LLP to provide some kind of information, documentation relative to their financial capabilities going forward to actually undertake and complete the project. As of today, I hadn't heard anything back from Tim Lamb. He was aware because he contacted me a couple of weeks ago at least to, how he should approach that. And I told him, it's what you feel you want to give us, it would not be considered proprietary and could be public information. I've not heard back from him yet. So, I do have it, it's open for discussion with us now during work session. I do have it listed under new business for the regular meeting tonight. So if TURA Urban Renewal Authority feels that that's not appropriate, we can take it forward if it needs to be. We have till the end of the year to make that decision, but I'm thinking the sooner the better for all concerned. We need to get behind us, they need to get it behind them, so we'll discuss it. Commissioner Howard.
It would have been nice to get the requested information. I think when we make a request, it's nice to get that in time to be able to do things, because I do believe I do work under urgency, and time is the essence a lot of times in these kind of things. That said, I still think that'd be a good idea to get what was requested. So that's my first comment. I'm saying is, I'm in favor of this. Of that being acceptable, I'm in favor of this because I do understand where they are right now, what they're saying, in the climate and where they are. I think what would be detrimental is not doing this and not getting the end result that we think they would be able to do. To me, that's the detrimental thing, is them not having the time to be able to put this thing together, bring that tax revenue in there, move things forward, get in a better situation than they are for the city as a reseller. So I remain very much favorable to this when it goes forward, but I would like to have had what Commissioner Lopez had asked for.
Okay, so, okay, we'll get to it, whether we want to take it and move forward in the regular session or whatever. Commissioner Lopez?
I haven't changed my opinion on that. I would like to see the financial strategy that they are going to be coming forward to TURA with. We have an obligation and a contract that we made with them to the residents of Los Alamos County and the city of Trinidad for this development. That is our objective. And putting it on the back burner is okay. I could see an extension being needed. However, is it warranted and does it have merit? Regarding the funding mechanisms to be in place. And that's would be the deciding factor for me to move forward and allow this, which I think is probably the best thing to do. But I still think we have an obligation to hold their feet to the fire in not so many words, to show justification for us allowing this extension to occur. If it is not available to us, tonight, which there's nobody on the call for that, I would probably suggest that maybe we give them an opportunity to do so, and when it comes to the agenda item topic, to possibly table the extension.
Mr. Hector?
On face value, I would say I don't have a problem with giving them the extension, but I also agree with Commissioner Lopez. I think we've lost tax revenue for the town already. For the next 3 years, we may not be gaining anything, but the other part of that is, I don't want to buy the property back. And then we have to go through a whole new process. These are the people that we've been dealing with, we know them, we trust them, I think. I would lean towards the extension. Yeah.
With or without the financial?
Well, like I said, I'd lean towards the extension. I also want to see what their plan is. I mean, I don't want to in 3 years find out that we have to do this again. So, let's see what they have to say.
Mr. Bailey?
I agree with the conversation here. With we want to see some stuff, but I'm not against the extension at all. I think it's prudent to do so. It's in our best interest, because, like you say, we do know our customer and our client and everything. But a little something out there that we could, feel good about, feel comfortable with, and so I don't think that's asking too much. And I think I agree with the comments that were made here already. So, how do you feel, Ed?
Well, coming to me, first of all, if you look and consider the land, what it is, the footprint of the land is basically landlocked. Okay, this piece of land was needed to create an assemblage of land for the parcels that adjoin it to the east, which is owned by Cape Camden, or was owned by Cape Camden, the same way to the west.
Yeah.
So we sold this parcel of land, we put it out there for bid. And the basis on which it was is under the disposition of public property as prescribed by state statute. You put it out there and it goes sold for fair value. Fair value could mean $0, as long as it meets certain criteria, which includes creating an ad valorem tax and sales tax and all those things which are basically economic drivers. So we received $75,000 for a parcel of land that has a value which it could have been 0 based upon what the developer was bringing to the table. The alternative of us not allowing this means that we would have to undergo the repurchase at the end, after the 9th of November. If we went that far. So, the consensus here is for commissioners, say you know, it's doable, except that we want that kind of information that was requested from the developer, and I think, you know, they're aware of it. So, you know, I don't think taking it one more month, that's where it has to be, is gonna hurt anybody.
Right.
So I will again remind Timberland General Counsel for Kip Hamden to have it in a form that would be acceptable to us, but I think we need to allow protection of proprietary information that they
Yes.
feel, you know, so my question is, because he was sort of not really clear on how much do we want them to provide to us, that, again, they're, you know, it is a private corporation, and that information is proprietary. What exactly do we want him to provide to us?
I think you stated it well, though. You said what you're comfortable providing. You're not demanding anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're not demanding anything, but we're asking of them something to provide to Urban Renewal, that they have the financial capabilities to do this when that time comes.
Yeah, and if they're comfortable, whatever they're comfortable with, information they're comfortable giving us, we'll either accept it or not accept it.
Okay, so what degree, do you want a financial statement? You know, what is it, because when my last conversation with Tim is, you know, he was asking, what do you want? And I left it at his discretion of provide to us what you feel is, you know, it is, again, a private corporation, that there are certain aspects of it that, you know, I wouldn't want mine out there even for conditions like this. So what format do you want him to provide us in that information?
In my thought process of this, it would be the funding mechanism, whether it be secured funds or lending opportunities, or some sort of that yes, we do have the opportunity to acquire the money once we have the final plan put in place. Because you mentioned scaling down the plan, shrinking the project due to the costs. So what does that kind of look like from the 15 million? Are we gonna be back to this 10 million? And are they able to create the funding? So maybe a line of credit letter or something from some banking institutions, or something to kind of prove. Because here's my dilemma. I know it's landlocked, but I grew up with an attorney in my family, and any good attorney can get you an easement through any landlocked property. In the state of Colorado, we have landlocked laws. They cannot hold you landlocked. You can apply for easements and go through the courts to do that. So if this development doesn't come to fruition in 3 more years after this, we've just wasted, like you said, Commissioner, 3 more years of no taxes. So in our assessed evaluation process of the county, every 2 years that assessed evaluation takes place. So whether you have concrete in place, it's gonna be evaluated for the value of that concrete, even though the structure's not done yet. So then you have your property assessed evaluations, and your taxes start to go up. Not to mention the construction materials that come in for the city and the county of sales tax for the construction materials. So we're gaining all of that tax base coming through, and then in 3 years from now, they say, oh, we're gonna need another extension. That's my concern. The other side of that coin is if we do take it back, which I don't wanna do, but if we did and put it back on the market, is the lot big enough? How big is the lot? And is it big enough for, say, a developer to come in and put an Applebee's in, and then get easement? I don't know, what's the property size?
It's about 35,000 square feet, it's 0.85 of an acre. So it has minimal footprint.
Okay, so that plays into that as well, that is it gonna be something that, or maybe a bank could put in a ATM drive-through or something of that nature, that if that's proven so far. So those are my concerns. We're just losing out on tax revenue, doing another 36 months. This was supposed to, it was sold to us as we're gonna have this development. Our job as a board is to promote development, to spur economy, to have urban renewal. And so I would just like to see maybe some sort of, not financial statements, I don't wanna give, address their whole company in front of us, that's not our business, you're right. But some sort of, yes, we're gonna do this, and here's the time frame we got, and I think we have the funding, and we're gonna get this going for you. That's kind of what I need, because for me, to say yes, I can tell my constituents that are hitting me up from the contracting world, oh, you guys let them slide because that's development, it's this group. And I don't think that's what we want to do, is say we give one company an opportunity to be laxed or relaxed in our resolve with them, and others not so much. So I want to just keep everybody on the same page. If this was another organization and not Kit Hamden, how would we be performing right now in our duties as a board? Does that make sense?
When I look at this, I look at kind of, it has not been a productive tax property for a very long time, decades. So 3 years is based on where it was. Not only is it landlocked, but if you look at what could be there, if the examples are an Applebee's or a drive-through or anything, not very much tax revenue with that. Much more tax revenue banking on a dealership selling $30,000 and $80,000 cars, and that being part of their plan. So when I look at where would I place my bet on it being a standalone piece of property and where's the highest and best value that could produce, and with the current project that's there, where's the highest and best value where that can produce? Had Commissioner Lopez not asked for that information, I'd be ready to vote right now and propose for it. Because I believe anything that right now, at least in my experience, will be numbers out of thin air. This was done 3 years ago. In those 3 years, the numbers changed. Whatever numbers we got right now, even if they were financial numbers, letters of credit, if you don't expedite on those things and act on those right now, they're pieces of paper that go away. They don't last for 3 years. So whatever information we get, so again, I would say, I vote in the affirmative on this without any of the information. I just, out of respect for Mr. Lopez, because he asked for that, would like them to present something. I'll say this, whatever they present based on who they are, their experience, and what they've done in the past, I would probably accept. And I'm not going to be asking them, full disclosure, I'm not going to be asking for the information that they're not willing to give us. Because there is proprietary information, and there is information that should be on a need-to-know basis. And so where I'm at is, if they can provide something to Commissioner Lopez that actually says, okay, again, I think it's going to be numbers out of thin air. I don't think it's numbers that anybody would take to the bank, themselves or us. And I see 3 years on a piece of property. The highest and best use is as a part of that big project. That's the highest and best use. And so that's kind of where I am. So I remain affirmative towards the extension, would vote on it tonight in the affirmative. I wish they had presented something, but I also understand their dilemma of trying to present us something that is acceptable to us, knowing that it's kind of, it'd be a little bit of fudge, right? It's not gonna be real information, and they can't give us, they're not gonna give us financial statements. And I don't have constituents. I'm appointed on this board by the city. There's nobody that votes me on or off. So my constituent is the city. And I think that one constituent that I have, and I report to, at least sitting in this seat, is different than Commissioner Lopez. That one, I think it's their best interest that we move forward, the city's best interest to move forward, and then the affirmative towards that. So that's my thinking.
I'd like to ask Luis, what would you mentioned all the different things, and I agree with that, and I agree exactly with what Pat's saying. But at the same time, what would you think would be appropriate? And you could put something out there to where we could hang our hat on it and feel good about it without offending them to a certain degree. And what do you think would be, without full disclosure, like you're saying?
So when he's here presenting to us, he gave us the dilemma they had, the problems they ran into, but we didn't hear the solution to that. It was still, we don't know, we're gonna do this, we're doing that. I'd like to see the solution to the problem we're facing so we can move forward. If that, and what their plan is. Not, we don't know, we're not sure, and here's the elephant in the room, that Mr. Chimino has passed away. Are these, they have a CEO and a board they have to answer to now, whether they move forward with these projects. And what if that board 3 years from now says, we're not doing it? And here we are again. So that's why I'd like to see something better than nothing. And ask for another extension. Because I serve on 14 boards. I know how these things change. One day you have support for something and you have new board members next week, next year, and then you don't.
So the gamble's 3 years on that,
Right.
right?
But so the total gamble will be 6 years at that time with another extension possible.
And not to speak for them, and we want them to speak
Right.
for themselves, but I think they did offer a solution. And the solution, the same that I would offer us if I were doing this, time. I think time is actually a really big solution, especially where markets are, where bond markets are, where finance markets are, where interest rates are. I think the best thing somebody could ask for in trying to do something like this is time.
And there's other information that I have to finish your answer, that is not privy, for this room, to be disclosed regarding the location they're in now. So I don't know, there's talk of that building staying where it's at and the operation staying there for a long time. But, and so I don't know if the plan really is to make that leap. I would like to see some sort of securities, because we have a contract, we have, and I hate for this board's integrity to be challenged because we didn't follow our own contract. So that's my concern.
He did allude to most of that in his
Yeah.
presentation. He alluded to the fact, he did allude that it was gonna cost upwards of $12 million, but they had planned to be in the $5 and $6 million range. And they indicated in the $5 to $6 million range, they could have cash flowed it. But they're gonna have to scale it back to be able to get it down from that high amount to a lower amount. They can cash flow a certain portion of it and borrow the rest of it. He did also say that they can't continue in the location they're at because the manufacturers are wanting that not to continue. And so he said that's the thing that they wanted to see occur. So I think just to get it to where it has to be for comfort for everybody, tell him to get us something that shows that.
Right, something in writing, a document that we can, that they'll stand behind, something tangible instead of just dialogue.
And my question now goes to Ed, and anybody else wants to answer, is what do you think would be, my question was to Louise, what do you think would be something that, to where you, just something other than you got the extension and let's just keep rolling this thing down? What do you think, Ed?
My comfort factor already exists. I support it because I feel it's gonna go through based on all the information that has been provided. My comfort factor already exists.
Okay.
I believe based upon their past experience and performance that has occurred in and around Trinidad, I'm very comfortable with it because, there's just a lot between the hotel and all these other things that have happened. The original Toyota dealership that's in and all these other things. My comfort factor already exists.
Okay.
So the information that Commissioner Lopez brings, said, we'll bring that and that could be the, what do you want to call it, the icing on the cake for whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, I personally would be ready to move forward with that tonight.
Can I make a question then, because I want to be clear. In hearing Commissioner Lopez's position and argument, I have to say, it's not as compelling as I'd like it to be, frankly, because I'm the same way. I would like to maybe move out of this work session and into the agenda, making a motion to approve, if that's still something that's on the table.
Well, it just depends. I mean, because everybody has voiced it.
I don't know what they would provide us, and there's not been an answer with regards to the
Right.
question of what they could provide us, that we think they could provide us, that would actually do that.
Well, to answer that, you would think they would be present tonight, since this is on the agenda, and have an answer during this work session.
Yeah, well, that could be my fallacy, because I didn't advise them. So I think probably the best thing to do is, because it did, everybody's statements were basically to prefer to have it. I'm stating mine, I'm not using that as any vehicle to sway anybody. You know, that's what was requested, and I think in all fairness, is just go ahead and ask Tim Lamb to provide that. That way it takes out any kind of doubt, there'd be unanimity on it when it comes to that.
And I'm not
What's the
opposed.
that we're asking them, I guess is still the question, I
So,
think.
yeah, and I
Yes.
think I made it clear, just something tangible that shows that we're gonna move forward with the project. And again, I don't wanna be the bad apple in the bunch, I just wanna protect the integrity of this board moving forward, and I don't wanna have to be the one to say 3 years from now, I told you so. So that's why.
My integrity view will be intact, just.
I said of the board.
I understand.
as a whole, as urban renewal.
I understand, I understand.
So my suggestion is when we get to the regular meeting, is that as we open it up, maybe we just ask for a withdrawal of that from the agenda,
Amend the agenda?
if anybody feels so inclined, and we'll just take it, bring it forward next month. Like I say, it's not one, or it's a deal killer if it doesn't happen now.
I think that
I
makes
think
sense.
everybody's in agreement. I mean, we all want to see it go, and I think they have a vested interest in making sure it goes.
Sounds good.
That's-
Yeah, so we'll just need a motion to take it off the regular
We'll take it with
agenda, and then we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move away from there. Item number 2. Opera House request for a loan. As you will recall, last month, brought forward information indicating that we had received a request to consider a loan to the Opera House LLC, which is owned by Dana Crawford. The northwest corner of the building has some deficiencies that could affect the entire building itself. And so the initial indication was there was discussion between myself, Steve Ruger, city manager, and Paul Glenn, who is on the meeting here tonight. The consideration to provide a loan for the stabilization of that corner and to fix that front end up the walkway in order to make it pedestrian safe and to allow to be used by pedestrians again. It is now blocked off because of safety concerns to the public, so that would be something that would be what they're wanting to do. In that direction, city planner Nick Mason created a development agreement, which got to me last week, and it was sent to, he, in tandem with Steve Ruger?
Yes, yeah.
Created a development agreement, which I sent to Paul Benedetti for review. He did start taking a look at it late last week, but indicated there's probably some adjustments need to be made, and probably begin with a pre-development agreement in order if there are any negotiations or changes that need to be made between Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority and the requester of the loan going forward before we actually enter into a development agreement or whatever the document will be. Plus, we have to think of other things of how we're going to administer a loan, collect payments and those kinds of things, so that's where it sits now. I do have, we're happy to have Nick Mason with us this evening. He can elaborate further, and then if we need, Paul Glenn, he too is online tonight. Nick?
Yeah, I just, last month I said it in the meeting, and I know Steve, along with Paul, talked about the Opera House. I have a handful of development agreements, usually more of a subdivision type stuff, so this one's a little different for me, but I wanted to help spur this on, so I let Steve say, let me at least get you guys rolling. I just created a document in a couple weeks ago and sent off to Steve. We reviewed it together, and then I sent off to Chairman Griego, and we just trying to help you guys move further along, and that's all. I took a lot from your facade application. I put that in there as well, and you figured it's the same thing, even though it's a different type of agreement. So took a lot of that, put that in the agreement, but just happy to help you guys in any way I can. It's basically all I got.
Thank you. And basically, the document, what is actually at this point, a pre-development agreement, is a work in progress by Paul Benedetti. And so it's requiring him to do some research into it, because not every development is the same. So there's some, he'll come up with suggestions, which ultimately, when there's something there, bring it to the officials at the city, I'll bring it to TURA. But at this point, I mean, it's there, but he's still trying to refine it and to make other changes to it that we then would be able to discuss, make our changes, and ultimately, if there's agreement to it, present it to the developer for their consideration. But it will require those things of, again, the pre-development agreement, which if negotiated, whatever you red line, will ultimately lead to the development agreement. And then we have to figure out under what conditions we would, well, we gotta determine whether or not we want to continue with the transaction. And ultimately, we would need to get assistance or work through a bank or other lending institution to administer and to service the loan for us. So those are all things that, ultimately, when we, it's not an interest-free loan, it's going to contain annual percentage rate to it, an interest rate. And so we have to make sure that it covers not only, what we're seeking to get out of it, but whatever we have as far as a bank servicing, help us with it. Commissioner Howard.
I kind of see this as the city, which we are chartered under, being a co-advocate of this project. We've received most of the funds we have right now through the city funding us by having us participate in other real estate projects, okay? So when the city if somebody were to come to us without the city as a co-advocate, I'd probably be a little harder. Being that the city manager, city council, city planner are wanting to move this forward to the point of they're helping make the documents that actually are part of this agreement. I see where their advocacy. I know that our mission, at least in my mind, is always in lockstep with the city's mission. Public safety is one of our tenets. Like conditions, public safety, trying to improve the economy, move things forward, okay? So I think we're on track with regards to that. For me, some of the things that stands out is, we're not a bank, although we have funds and we have the ability to finance things. It's what urban renewal authorities do all over the country. But this would be something that would need to be a guarantee. There'd need to be a guarantor to this. We don't have the funds actually to be able to put funds out there for a public safety project, not knowing where the project will actually be down the future with regards to when will the Raccoon Opera House be, when will it take its next step, okay? And so I would rather have something in this document that there's a guarantee, irrespective of the future project, irrespective of where that goes, that we receive our money back with interest, that if there are servicing fees in order to service a loan, which we're not in the business to, all those are wrapped up into this loan, that we're made whole with regards to anything we do, and we have no extra dollars put into this other than the dollars that are being asked for, and again, all of our money comes back and there's some kind of guarantee on that. Were there some kind of guarantee on that, seeing that the city is coming forward with our folks, I'd be in favor of this. I've had a chance 2 times now to go up there and look up that corner. Time's of the essence. There's some urgency with regards to that. If you walk through that tunnel, that's not great. I think there's some real liability issues that the city is facing if something isn't done to that soon. And so that's kind of where I am. And the city's the advocate. I'm an advocate as well now. It needs to be guaranteed. We're made whole. No money, all money comes back to us so we can reinvest it in other things.
Commissioner Opus.
Well, priority's been for 10 years on that. I think it's been falling apart when they put the Band-Aid on it years ago, and we're still in the same position. So I like the idea that the city is working with them, but however, is the city really 100% behind them, or is there pressure from the community to save an old building from our downtown area? I could see both sides of that. Also, do we have a developer that's got the funding mechanism in place to move forward with it? We're not a bank, but urban renewal is a tool. Urban Renewals to work with the city, work with the developers, if then all the tools are in the same box moving forward to fix the problem or make the adjustment. If this is just a purpose to fix the facade for safety purposes at this time and no comprehensive plan moving forward, I'd be more subject to the private sector for this funding mechanism, not for our public sector without a comprehensive plan. So if they can develop that and have a, not just plans drawn, I'm talking full-scale, drawings and dollars put to this and funding mechanism, just like I did with the other topic we just talked about, making sure they have a funding mechanism in place of some sort. I know some of that is protected, private information, but having the mechanisms in place to move forward, then I'd be all for this, so with 100,000 from Urban Renewal. But until that occurs, I have difficulty in invading in the private sector, number one, for a concern of public safety that Urban Renewal has a role in. The city of Trinidad has that role with the private owner of the building. If it was my building up on Santa Fe Trail, would the city be offering me 100,000 to fix it at this point just because I need a Band-Aid? And then without a comprehensive plan to fix the rest of it. So if we do for one private business property owner, we need to do for all. And how do we handle that? If it's, like, again, in the toolbox with developer, developing, repairing, refixing, rehabbing, comprehensive plan, I'm all for it. Without that, I have difficulty moving forward.
Commissioner Hecht?
I'm taking in what Commissioner Howlett and Lopez said, and you're right about pressure from the community, because it is an outstanding building, and I've seen it work where I came from in New Jersey and what it did for the community around the building. The main problem I have is we need to see that all bases are covered. We need to see a viable plan that we think can work, and we don't have the same problem that we have with the Kip Hampton problem with the prices are gonna go up. I mean, lumber's gonna cost more in 2 years than it does now. So, do you guys have a plan, a timetable, an idea of where you're gonna go after you fix that corner of the building and that walkway?
To be honest, Commissioner Heck, I mean, yeah, we're not advocate for the developer either. We're just trying, I'm trying to help you guys come work on this.
No, I'm not saying you in particular. I'm saying-
If you feel free to ask Paul that.
Yeah. Let me provide a little bit of information here, because I don't know if it's totally understood. There is a concern over there at that building for public safety, and actually what would happen if that northwest corner collapses. So that's where it's at.
Yep.
This is a loan request, which would be requiring security and to assure TURA that we're going to get whatever we lend out will be returned, whatever our costs are gonna be. So that's what it amounts to. It's not going to be a grant. This is a loan request, of which we will, work with. And again, once we get through the questioning here, I'll ask Paul Glenn, who does have more information relative to that, to come on and address it.
And I realize it's a loan request, and I like the idea that we can get into the business of doing things like that. I mean, you said we're not a bank, but we could be a quasi-bank.
Yeah.
Bring money into TURA while helping the city out. That's why I say, if all the bases are properly, touched, I'm basically in favor. But I still want to see what the plan for the future is, because I want to see that building go forward. Because as I said, I've seen this happen before, and it's a boon to the community, and that's why we're here. So.
Mr. Bigley?
I feel very strong that we should do it. I think it's a great opportunity, but I'm also looking forward to seeing how Paul Benedetti comes up with some, what his outline will be and going forward. And I think he'll be able to address the exactly what Commissioner Lopez is saying. I think you'll be able to, work through those things, because that's a concern for anybody that has, as far as being doing something personal, as far as, venturing into that. But there are safety things, and let's face it, that's mainly commercial. I mean, that's Trinidad. I mean, that's
Core.
I personally feel very strongly that we should probably do it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But Paul will be able to help us get to that spot. That's what I feel.
Okay, so online is Paul Glenn, who's the architect, working with and for Dana Crawford on the Opera House building. He can probably allude to a lot more things going on than I've said. Paul, are you available to speak? I see that you're online.
Yes. Hi, Commissioner, how are you doing?
Good.
Ed, can you repeat that question?
Okay, commissioners are asking because, beyond the stabilization of that corner and then making the walkway safe for people to be able to utilize again, the question is, once this gets, that fix happens, what are the plans, what's going to go forward with the rest of the building, the restoration and redevelopment of the building? What are the plans of the building owner, and what might be expected going into the future as far as redevelopment, time frame, those kinds of things?
So, to answer that, Ed, probably the best thing for me to do would be to bring forward to you tomorrow, perhaps, or the day after, an outline, a written outline of that plan. We're still in the process of obtaining funding right now. And so we do have a full set of schematic design drawings for it. As far as timeline, that's obviously going to depend on funding. Our first goal is to stabilize that building. At least one is to stabilize the building beyond the corner. So that would be our first goal with respect to obtaining funding.
Okay.
If it would be good with the commission, I'd like the permission to submit that to you, Ed, or to the commission, so you guys have a copy of what our anticipated plan is for that.
Yeah, that'd be very helpful, because I think that's the big question now is, beyond making a temporary repair, as Commissioner Lopez says, putting a Band-Aid on it, what's gonna go, what can the community and urban renewal expect after that? So if you could provide it to me, then I can get it distributed on to everybody for their review.
Yes, absolutely. It's a complicated building, it's a complicated process on a project of this scale as far as funding. It's a complex capital stack, so yes, we're still working through that, but I'd love to have that opportunity, and I will get that for you.
I appreciate that.
Yep. That's good.
Is it possible, because we just spoke to their funding stack, what they need to be able to do in order to get more permanent development funding, et cetera. Is it possible for us, and I don't know, I don't want to throw too many wrenches out there, but it's possible that we would do more like a bridge funding? We would fund right now, but to be paid out when more permanent funding, be a first payee when there's more permanent funding to take the project forward. Our risk would be reduced, or exposure would be there, we'd be able to help them get forward. So say we able to put this thing forward, we fix that thing, we take care of the safety. It's charged up a little bit, now things are happening on the Opera House. They get more long-term funding to do things, but we're paid out, $100,000 is paid out with some form of interest. At that point in time, we're part of the next, we're part of that first payee. You know what I mean? The second question I have, is there a way that we as a board can go into executive session? Because we have these things where we want developers, and the city's asking us to maybe be the point committee on other future developers coming here. And they're going to want to actually provide it, we're going to want them to provide us with financial information. Is there a way for us sometimes to go in and utilize the executive session and the 5 things you can do that, and put that under negotiations, so we can actually they can provide us with better financial information that doesn't get out with competitors and et cetera. So that's kind of number 2. It may help us get some of that information that you'd like to have, but not it be in the public domain, because it doesn't have, there's not a need to know there. And so that's more of where I'm kind of, is there more creative funding, we'd be temporary or bridge loan funding, and in order to get some of the documents that we want to be able to move forward, having to where a developer can provide that to us, but it not be in the public domain.
To answer your question number 2 first, yes.
Okay, I think that's how we
And
have
and that was one of the things that I was gonna bring up, is that when we get to that part.
Okay.
We will probably, because depending on what the information in there, we will probably require some discussion, because it is private and proprietary.
Very good.
There will be some requirement, and I think a need, if it's at the option of the Urban Renewal Authority. I mean, it's, you know, executive sessions can be had upon the request and the approval of the board.
Okay.
I feel it to be, and it has to be, fall within the parameters allowed by state statute. But yes, we can, because there's information that we're,
But we'll have to add it to the agenda.
when that time comes.
When that time comes.
When that
So
time
what
comes.
I'd recommend is, now that we're getting into some heavier topics, that we have it on the agenda from here on out, in case we do need to call an executive session.
In my point, exactly.
And then we can do some.
And then that frees up to ask those kinds of questions and not, and do that.
I mean, I hate to extend the meetings any longer, to be honest with you.
Well, there has to be a reason to go into executive session. It has to be there. It can't be just a perpetual thing on there. There has to be a reason for it to happen. There's gotta be.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gotta be
But the reason-
contractual,
but the
legal,
re-
or personnel.
But the reason for this would actually be negotiations, and it
Contract
would,
negotiation, yeah.
and it would be contract negotiations, and it would be the submission of financial,
Right, and those are-
proprietary financial information, so we could put that on that area to cover where you want to
Right.
kind of go.
When it gets to that point, it will probably be,
Okay,
it would
very-
just be with the request and approval by Urban Renewal Commissioners. It can't be, you know, it can go Schedule 1, it's gotta be approved.
And that helps us going forward if we end up being point on some of that the other stuff. Now, this is my first question on that. Is there a way for us to be able to, make it to where we're not putting long-term funding here together, we're putting kind of a bridge loan to when you get your main, could we be part of their original finance stack?
Quite possible.
Okay,
You know, we're, you know, if it's gonna be an agreement, it's ours, we're gonna structure it to say,
We're
yeah,
kind of in-
that's, you know, that's up to, for us,
we're kind of in the negotiation
we-
stage right now, I want that to be an
Yeah,
option.
yeah, we
for
create
negotiation.
the terms of the loan.
Very good, okay.
We create the terms of the loan, that being a payment schedule, the security, or collateral, all the things, we're the ones that we create that. You know,
Because to Commissioner Heck's thing, if we can be that, where we can have a revolving thing out there, and we look for the next thing where we provide some temporary or bridge financing too, and that gets that project kick-started, and we're able to actually leverage our limited funds for
Well,
good.
that's what urban renewal is. for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly,
And
so
that's what
I think we're maybe set up for some really good things if we execute correctly now.
Well, the thing of it is to be able to do it, you gotta have somebody come to us to ask.
Exactly, and they're starting.
You
Well, if they
can't,
know we can do it. but-
well, yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that when a developer comes, it's up to us to work with the developer.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, that's our purpose.
Is that part of what that event in June is about? Just got an email today. There's an event coming up in June in Alamosa, I think, and Grand Junction
From
downtown.
downtown.
DC, right?
I saw it, but I've only breezed through it.
Yeah, I breezed through it, I didn't go. in
Yeah,
there.
I think it's up in the valley. Yeah. Could possibly be, I didn't look at it close enough.
But, you know, overall, my opinion is, you know, I like the idea, hopefully they have a comprehensive plan moving forward.
All right, thank
So
you.
that's where it's at, and as soon as I get more information, it will be sent to everyone, and we'll get working on it to be able to get going forward. Okay, we're done with that Opera House. Item number 3, planning grant meeting, which is going to occur tomorrow, May the 10th, 2024. Nick, you're back on one more time, then we'll let you go home.
Like I said,
You get to go, we done. Yeah.
like I said, I'm just trying to help
Yes.
I'll preface your remarks real quick. If you all recall, last month, we discussed that there's a grant funding available which would allow for staffing. And, you know, it takes care of the first 2 years and becomes a permanent position thereafter. This is the meeting that is going to be involving that with Dolan tomorrow. And so it's at 10 o'clock. I will be on it, and I invite any one other person, so it doesn't become an illegal meeting. If you want to come in and sit on it, it's scheduled for 30 minutes, 10 o'clock tomorrow. If one other commissioner would like to sit in on it,
I would like to,
Okay.
if
I'm not
everybody okay with that.
I do schools bar.
okay, is that okay? Yeah,
Yeah.
It's gonna be at 10 o'clock, so just, you know,
Will you
that's
send me a
what it's
link?
all about. And, yeah, will you people send him that?
I should do it for you.
Yeah, it's a Google Meet, right?
Yeah.
Google Meet.
Do you have,
That has to come
Is that
from,
Yeah, it's, he has a Trinidad.
Oh, okay, awesome.
yeah,
Is that with Terra Marshall?
no, it's with,
Robin DeFalco.
Robin, yeah,
Awesome.
okay,
Another great opportunity.
yeah. So like I said,
Is there-
another set of ears would be very helpful.
Very good.
I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Is there a match to that?
20%.
20%, that's right.
Yes, it's 80/20. Yeah, so you have to, this is a required, you have to have a required meeting with, the grant administrator, which is Robin Falco. I have a loose, I went through the application, past couple days, so have loose feel for it. We're gonna definitely include, the grant is for housing, so we're going to tie in definitely mixed use housing in the urban district, or, central district downtown, to tie in with TURA. We're also gonna put in there, you know, it'd be probably TURA's liaison with the city, better communication, so that's usually a great tool to have. And then, the big piece of that is gonna be, we do have a lot of influx of housing throughout the city, so with the Housing Now program, the city council did. So the grant is focused around housing. We are going to extend their responsibilities to assist TURA, and then anything outside of housing with TURA will probably not be covered by the grant, but that's where that match kind of comes in. So, and I mean, I think we talked about maybe 25% TURA kind of breakdown of the person's responsibilities, and then you cut out half of it, whatever, for non-housing. So it ends up working out pretty well for that 20%. So, and I don't know, we're still working on with HR and everything on the exact job description and everything like that. But it's just a good chance for us to maybe get some funding, get you guys some extra help, which I'm definitely all for. And yeah, it's a good opportunity for everyone.
And get to see some help.
Yeah, give me some help. I'm not mad about a little bit of help.
Quick question.
Sure, sure.
Michael, it's been
Michael
with us.
Ehrman, yeah.
He's involved in this grant
So he
process.
can't be, because there's a good chance we will use part of the funding to pay him. Because so part of the grant can be used for, it can be used for, like a influx of technology, but we're not too bad on the technology side, so we're not gonna really focus on that, but it can be used for consultants, so we'll probably filter
Yeah,
that.
I really appreciated his experience, especially in this grant
Oh,
kind of
for sure.
space.
Yeah.
How good are we, this is kind of a direct question, how good are we at this grant writing?
I'm not very good, so I have the nuts and bolts of it. We do have a grant writer on staff that's gonna be
Okay.
in with us.
I think that's really important to get
It is.
the right person in there doing
Yeah,
that.
so Talitha is our grant writer for the city. She's very good. She's
Okay.
gonna help
I know
us.
Talitha. Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna help us,
That's all I have.
formulate that.
You get one swing at this thing.
Oh, it does come back around in 6 months, I believe.
Okay.
So every 6 months for the next, or there's 3 rounds, next 6 months.
By the sound of it, we're a great candidate for this.
We have
Trinidad's on
fantastic
the map.
opportunity. We have fantastic
People are
chance.
liking us right now, we might as well go.
I've got a good job description for it already, get the monkey off my back. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Just thank you, Nick, for.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you,
helping
thank
us.
you for being here,
Glad
appreciate
you're
it.
here.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to help you guys, trying to help everyone, so.
Okay.
Get familiarized with all the commissions and boards, so.
Thank you, have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, so they'll send you the link and you'll hook on.
Yeah. 10 o'clock tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Excellent.
Yes. Item number 4, facade improvement incentive application submitted by Keely Williams on behalf or in conjunction with the Well Hotel and Tap Room. I sent that information to everyone. I received it just prior to the April meeting, so I wasn't able to get it on last month's meeting, so it's come forward to this month for for discussion. It was not consideration tonight because it's on discussion. I think we have Keely Williams online tonight,
She
so
is.
Keely, welcome. Can you hear me, Keely?
Well, hi, greetings, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah. You're somewhat familiar with what goes on in this room from you with TURA, so welcome. Anyway, we've got your application, and if you want to go ahead and we got your letter as well. So if you want to go ahead and make a presentation, and then we can go to questions on it. Basically, you're asking for $10,000, which is our maximum funding for any project, to go toward the renovations and the restoration of the front 155 East Main Street, am I correct?
That's correct.
155 East Main Street. So you did provide to us the application as mentioned. You did provide to us information from the Trinidad Construction Group, as well as photos going back in history and what the proposed look of the front end will be once the completion of the facade renovation occurs. So from this point, I'll let it go to you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to apply for this grant. It's important for this project that I'm the owner of this project, I'm the architect of record, and I'm also the developer. The interior portion of the building, it hadn't been updated. The upstairs portion hadn't been updated in 100 years. So over the last few years, we've spent a considerable amount of money and time renovating the inside. That was part of our initial financing package, and so we went out, we put in our own capital, we got a bank loan from a local bank, we got tax credit equity, historic tax credit equity, and worked really closely with the State Department on that. And so we put a considerable amount of money into the interior, and that package was, strictly for the interior. It was to get the bar up and running and the hotel up and running, which is on the second floor, and there's 12 rooms in the hotel. So we're about 88% finished on the interior of the building. We're waiting for the final funding to come in to complete that hotel, and that will be up and running as soon as we close that financing. We've already got our contractors on site ready to go. But then there's the front of the building, and you can get a building up and running without the front and start generating revenue and start generating tax dollars and start generating economic development. But the front of the building is kind of the first impression. And so without, we've already put a considerable amount of money into the structure, but without the front of the building, it's kind of doing it a bit of a disservice. And over the years, since 1888, there's been a lot of changes to the facade. So I think you can see my screen. I just want to confirm that you can.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And what I'm showing you is a painted version of one bay and the black and white version of what the building looks like today. And the facade, the big windows that are 15 feet tall, it's got storefront on the bottom, and it's got another layer of clear story windows above that. That's all boarded up right now or covered in brick that was done probably in the mid 20th century. So what we want to do is we want to work in tandem with TURA. We want to work in tandem with the State Historical Fund to redo this facade. We'll be matching the funds with our own capital and other grants that we've applied for that are in process right now. Without this type of funding available, it's really, really hard for us to put money towards the facade and honestly afford it. So that's where the request is coming from, a desire to really improve the street presence for this building. You know, the large amount of money that you don't see from the street that's in the building, we want to, you know, showcase that and have it on as a public facing amenity and catalyst for the rest of the block. And we want to be able to show people that you can utilize grant funding to really improve the street for the entire block. And so that's what we're trying to do. We have a $50,000 grant earmarked from the State Historical Fund that we've already been awarded. We would be requesting $10,000 from TURA, and then we would be coming up with the rest of that with either our own capital or from other grants that we've applied to.
Mr. Hallett?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say, hi, Keely.
Hi.
One of the things that I think we've been able to see is, and with the work they've done on Main and Maple, is that this is a proven, known, experienced, and bankable developer. It's one of our own, so I like that. The building is on Main and Maple, and you know when they close down the streets for any of the things, Maple is where that ends. So it's in our core public-facing entertainment district, and so to me it's a key public impression building of how you look at downtown. And so my question is, Keely, so if you were to get this $10,000, is your funding stack such that it's all there in order to complete the facade? Keely?
So the funding, what we did was we got a bid from a couple of different folks, and Trinidad Construction Group is most likely the one that we'll go with. We plan to either, we have some capital available ready to go right now if we value engineer the project or do it in phases. So, and then we are about 45 days out from receiving the final tranche of funding. That funding is, and I'll just go ahead and kind of to illustrate the dollar amount that we're talking about. It's about $600,000 in applications to not only complete the front facade, but the interior, that last, 11% that we need to do on the hotel finishes. So that will be coming in, and we think we're a great candidate for it in the next 45 days. So as soon as that hits, I'm going to be chomping at the bit to get going. We've already presented to the Historic Preservation Commission on the facade, and we got a recommendation from them on a certificate of appropriateness, basically that the architectural drawings that we provided and the mock-up that we provided is appropriate for the age of the building. So we've already been through that permitting process, some of the approvals process. We've submitted to the State Department already. The State Department has earmarked a reservation of historic tax credits for us that we don't get until we finish. So we'll get those on the back end, and basically this funding that we have available to us that we're applying for is sort of bridge financing that funding.
So
there's a lot of equity and things in play, and it should all be resolved in the next 45 days.
So we've recently updated our facade grant process and protocol, in that the funding comes upon the completion. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
And so,
Right, so
you
the
understand.
funding that I'm proposing.
I want to make sure that if you looked at
we
our
would do the work
process, if you looked at our process a month or so ago, it was different than our process is right now. That was just done within the last month. And so you are aware that our process is that $10,000 is granted. You would get that $10,000 upon completion of the facade improvements that you'd be submitting. I just want to make sure we all understand there.
Yeah, we understand. That's why we've been
Okay.
putting other funding sources in place to bridge, because we understand that this is an incentive that we get on the back end.
This seems to be right the way we want things to go. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
Hi, Keely, how are you?
Great.
Thanks for bringing this forward. The only concerns that I have would be on the construction side of it, and what fits and what doesn't fit into our system. of our facade program, and I think that can be resolved. I think it needs to be broken down a little bit more in what actually falls in our purview for that. So like some things might not fall into it, maybe the structural side of things, if that structural behind the boards and all that. That'd be my only issue moving forward with making sure that we don't violate our own program. And then that, it might need to be manipulated or changed on on your end of what is the request versus what is the actual dollars going to the facade itself, and not the infrastructure side and the, usually the facade is fixing up the face of it and the paint and the windows and, stuff like that. So that would be my only concern, and I haven't broken it down and really evaluated it in detail to see if it does have any of those parameters that I mentioned, or if it's, perfectly at this point. But in just looking at the Trinidad Construction Group proposal, I have some, overhang, ceiling, demolition, all of those framing, installing siding and electrical cables for sconces and stuff like that as I'm reading down this. Those might need to be manipulated and taken out of the equation, so it fits into our grant procedure. But other than that, that'd be my only concern. And then, once you have the rest of that funding in place to, show that as well. And I think it's a good project. That's exactly what this facade program is for.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Hecht?
Thank you, Lee. I read your proposal and the application, and I just came across thinking you are the perfect candidate for what we're trying to do. And I'll tell you point blank, as long as you meet the requirements that Commissioner Lopez has brought up, you've got my vote, because I think this is perfect. It's exactly what we want to do.
Yep.
So, that's it.
Sure, Bailey.
Hi, Keely. Just wanted to say that I agree with that. I'm pretty agreeable tonight, I noticed. But anyway, that's exactly what we're doing with the facade program. You just got it mapped out perfect. Even the itemized Trinidad Construction Group did a real nice job providing all that for you. And so I feel pretty comfortable with everything that you got on there. So, yep, I'm okay with it.
Just one more thing, I think what Commissioner Lopez brought up is kind of perfect, and I'll say it another way, is with all that list, if you can make sure that the things that you have on there are coded to the things that are the things that we can pay for.
Exactly.
I think we're right in line with where we need to be.
Yep.
The I's across the T's, and it's
Yeah.
perfect fit.
Okay, my turn. Okay, the total on the bid from Trinidad Construction Group is $97,679.92. The line above that has $59,532.52. I'm assuming that's material costs.
I'm clicking in to see
Yeah, the proposal.
exactly
Okay,
what line item.
okay, so as
This
okay.
is,
So if you look at the bid total, it says $97,000 and $679 and change.
Page 2.
that's the material cost, you are correct. And then the labor is the page 1.
The 38,149.40. The two of those.
Oh, yeah, and it's split, the page broke right at the
Yeah.
at
Okay,
the end of the labor.
okay,
So the labor is 38,149.
okay, so, and to elaborate a little more on what Commissioner Lopez has said, I went through the proposal, and I brought out what I look at several items that don't fit within the guidelines of the program, which include electrical and some interior work. And I can show you that thereafter, but, you know, if you look like item number 8, 7 and 8, they refer to interior, platform, and overhang, which I think is overhang. And then you go down to rewire electric from the ceiling, and number 11, you go down, several of them, I've gone ahead of, but anyway, I've segregated out approximately, and this is in the material cost, $8,440 that would fall outside of that which is within the program guidelines. So that, taking that number with whatever the applicable amount of labor would be, I would be most comfortable with that being brought out. Okay, so the amount that we're looking at of consideration and what our percentage is not going to be, I don't believe, of 97,000, which is still at 10,000 maximum that we allow. But so, you know, you basically $49,000 of grant and 49,000 that you're trying to match up, of which 10 would be
That's correct.
from us. Okay, so that $49,000 less the 8440 and any amount that is applicable, I'm imagining almost a like amount for labor. I don't know how labor is determined, but if you take that $49,000, drop that part out, and drop out whatever labor is applicable, would be the amount that we need to figure our 25%, and still could be the 10,000 maximum. But that's a number that I have in question, you know, because the 49,000 is available by grant to you from the state anyway. So, you know, the amount that you have to gap is 49,000 with that, whatever portion that is from urban renewal incentive facade improvement program. So, you know, I segregated 8440 out of that, several items on there. So, you know, 8440 material costs.
Okay,
And
understood,
whatever-
and then you wanna figure, you
Yeah,
wanna,
yeah,
you
so-
wanna less the 8440 to
Less 8440,
49,
8440,
and apply 25% to that.
no. Well, yeah, I guess we could. 49,000 less 8440, less whatever the labor is associated with that 8440 in material costs, giving us that lowest, that number. I think that's the qualifying number, not the 97 or the 49, because there are some of those items in there that fall outside of the program. You know, and I can go in there and recite what the program says that it does not cover, and it has to do with, excuse me if I have to, electrical or any interior work. So you'll see that under number 14, under the program guidelines or eligible or ineligible expenses. So anyway, that's that's my comment, my question, and so that would be the number that I'd be looking at to consider, is that 49,000 aside from the grant, the 49 that you have to come up with, 8440 in materials that does not fall within the program guidelines, and then there's going to be an applicable amount of labor that matches up to that installation or that work, which it becomes the amount that this application is going to be based on 25% of, which ultimately could land up being that, but I'm thinking it might be a little bit less, because 49 less 8440 less labor, probably gonna take that under $40,000, so, you know, might tweak it a bit, it might only be a matter of a few bucks, but that's procedure. That sound reasonable?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, you know, this 97,000 is the value engineered proposal. The original proposal is 150. And so, depending on how the financing shakes out in the next 45 days, if we can do the entire bid amount, we will do the entire bid amount. So it might be, and then just an idea, and I don't know if this falls into the program guidelines or not, but if there's a way for us to, you know, be approved for the 10,000 or reserve it in some way, at the end of the project, when we're going to pay, change, money is going to change hands and all of that, having a reporting and a reconciliation that, make sure it falls within the program guidelines. Just a thought.
Actually, the program guidelines do say that actually construction can't begin, you can't make the improvements, you can't begin the improvements until we have made the approval. So it's not contingent on anything. It says that we basically have to approve it based upon that, and then reimbursement happens when that project gets finished. If you have a project, and we had one down at the SCRT building, if that project was to come under that amount, we would fund 25% based upon whatever it is. It may not be as high as the 10,000. So that's the thing. So, we've got to be relatively firm going into it for the amount that we allow. And then if it goes up from there or whatever, that's the amount that we have, once we approve it, that's the amount that's going to be awarded. So if you're able to bring that down, or it goes up, that's still the amount that we fund. That's the approved amount, and that has to be.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
we
just wanted
can't
to
do
make
it
sure that
after
we
the
were able
fact.
to kind of be approved or reserved for the maximum, because, and then afterwards, if it, turns out, okay, Keely, a bunch of this is not approved under the program that you did, and then we would be given less. But I have a feeling we're gonna max it out, so I didn't want to necessarily reserve less than 10, I guess is what I was
I understand, but yeah,
trying to say.
when we make the approval, it'll be for the amount based upon what's there, and I don't think we can make the adjustment thereafter in keeping with our own procedures. I got one more question, because something you said a while ago, that you did use you presented the estimate from Trinidad Construction Group. You said will probably be the one. So is there a possibility they may not be the one, and this is not the actual bid that we work off of to consider?
The date on this one is a couple months old, probably over the 60 days of the proposal that was submitted. So we probably will need to go get updated pricing. And so I'm assuming that Trinidad Construction will come in with similar pricing, but if for some reason they didn't, closer to actually starting construction, than a competitor, then in that case, a competitor might come in and say, we can do this for a cheaper price or something like that. It would basically be, we'd be confirming the pricing, because the material suppliers for windows and things like that, their pricing only lasts so long. So if we get going and we price this and we say we're about to start construction in July, I'm gonna go get updated pricing 2 weeks before July.
So the scope of the work
Does
remains
that
the same?
answer? I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it is. Because you mentioned it, that's why I brought it up. Because that creates a variable. So, does that all of a sudden, we're working on that today, but if that is updated between now and next month, we do it again, we have a variable to consider. Commissioner Howlett?
Yep.
Understood.
One of the things that I think is going to happen is when we do have an executive director with some help, applicants are able to actually interface with somebody and get some of these kind of procedures. I kind of look at our work sessions as opportunities for us to learn about what somebody wants to do and us to help tell them about what the process is. So I'm not looking at these numbers right now because of the dates that were on them as the numbers that will actually come in when we're going to actually vote on this, right? I mean, these are numbers that we have right now, but they could change. I guess, Chair, if I'm hearing you correctly, we want the applicant to, when they present us with the numbers that we're going to vote on, whatever's there has to match what they're going to be able to do, and we're going to fund based on that submission to us, correct?
You're going to vote on, well, that's what we're working through now.
Yeah, I don't see the vote on this.
It's not.
Yeah, so this is just still a work session. She's learning something from where our process is and what she needs to do in order to be compliant.
Yeah, it's not for action today.
Okay, so you understand, Keely, you understand, you're gonna go back in this, you're gonna get updated numbers, and the numbers that you actually move to us that we're gonna be voting on will have to be the numbers that we're going to be voting on.
Right, yeah.
And wherever that falls, If you max it out, you get the $10,000. If you don't, it's gonna be a reduced sum of that, so that,
Pretty much.
okay.
It's just a matter, like I say, if you review the estimate and take it based on what it contains against what our program allows, those numbers have to be
You have to line those up.
changed to whatever number it is, and yeah. So
Okay.
we're at the discussion point now. It's not on a voting, because it's not on the regular meeting, so we know we wouldn't vote on it.
So Chair, when we do go and vote on this, I guess it's kind of my question now to you, is we're gonna get a, this is what the numbers are, and from whatever's submitted in that updated application to us, that's what our formula is gonna be based on.
Right, so
Okay.
tonight is our opportunity to ask that of the applicant, so the applicant can come back with the explanation, revisions, or whatever else that are
Very good.
necessary, yeah.
Very
Guys, this is just the opening stage of it.
Very cool.
Any more questions, Keely? Obviously, you can get a hold of me if you have more questions on that, that's not a problem.
I'm just excited because I feel like if I'm successful with this facade program and then we put a big sign up, like we used to have, like the big TURAs, I think that you're gonna get flooded with applications. And I'm so excited for that, so, it's a great program.
Hope it's not too much of a torrent, because we don't have that much money. Thank you, Keely, and look forward to getting information from you. Send it to me, and then I can disperse it out to all the commissioners. And, the sooner the better before next month's meeting.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
No.
Item number 5, the Hughes Building update, Commissioner Bailey.
I showed some pictures earlier, and they came courtesy of Mr. Jeff Hecht, who, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, we met with Carl Gabrielson right around 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. He was kind enough to give us a tour on the weekend, which is nice. And I turned things over to Commissioner Hecht, or Jeff as we know him. But anyway, he went through and saw the building, and I'd already seen it before. And he snapped some pictures in which I submitted. I got them right here too, but the pictures. I think you're going to.
I'm gonna send him to PAC, and he's going, you're gonna archive them, right?
We're gonna put it on the TURA's, through TURA's account, through the Chamber of Commerce. We're gonna start creating stories. What are we doing, and this could be this one, but it could be some of the stuff to pass, it could be what we're talking about with the facade grant folks.
Right.
We're gonna create a story with that, we'll put some history with regards to the building, we'll put maybe some pictures of where the building is, we'll put then a kind of a story on, this is where it is right now, and we may be putting a coming soon, or stay tuned kind of thing, so we can get those after pictures in. And we're gonna just start archiving some of our, if we can, some of our past work of previous TURA boards, because they did some stuff, and then we're gonna set a model for where that is. And since it's on the chamber site, we're gonna be able to drive some traffic to that. Okay, and have folks know that, we, to the degree we can be, we're open for business.
And that Saturday, Carl had told us they're gonna concentrate on the exterior. We already know that. But, so a lot of the stuff was re-emphasized. It was not, there's not a whole lot of new stuff, except they're waiting for historical funding group to get back with them. He's wanting to get started, and he's waiting for a full set of plans from the architect and everything like that, so it's still in the works. And so this morning, I texted him, I said, any new developments yet? He said, nothing at this time, so, but he would let us know if it's something.
And he can send you the floor, he gave me a copy of the floor plans, but he can send those to you.
A digital copy, that'd be what we want.
You asked him to do?
Yeah, I can. But anyway, that's our, I says, any new updates? He said, no new updates. So, anyway, but it's percolating, if you want to say. And that's what we saw that, when Jeff and I went over there, he said he's just ready to get going.
Yeah.
So he says they're gonna start on that front, and he went over everything with us, and it was very good.
So what Commissioner Heck and I are working on, that'll be visible next meeting. By next meeting, it'll be up. Folks will get an email. I'll get it to the chair so he can disperse it to folks ahead of time. So if there's any changes we wanna do, we'll be able to do, but it'll be up and running for our next meeting.
There's really no other updates from me at this point, but when they say they're gonna get started, he wants to get started. He wants to get started. We're waiting to. That's all I have. Any questions, anybody?
Just thank the three of you for job well done.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, just ongoing, we're trying to discuss, we need some work vacancies on this board.
A lot of volunteers
No,
now.
it's not. The city continues to advertise for vacancies on all boards and commissions.
I'm sending them out through the Chamber
Yeah,
of Commerce too.
So it's, it's a matter of who wants to be a part of the community, so we're relying on that, so it'll happen someday. Live long enough. All right, items for future work session discussion, does anybody want?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a future discussion, but, or if it's new business on the regular meeting part. But, you know, in doing this with Jerry on that building, you know, I was just thinking, I would personally like to go down to the hotel and take pictures of the hotel. It's one of our projects. We're a main contributor to that project. And then just to get a list of any facade programs we've been involved with or any other programs, take pictures. And my thought is, at some future date, having an exhibition over in the, you know, space to create. You know, I went there a couple of times and saw some exhibitions they had with pictures all over the place, and you know, I thought it was pretty interesting, and it was selling their idea. So I'm just thinking that might be something good for us. And if I am given permission, I would have no problem taking pictures of any of the projects we've been involved in, any of the future projects.
I think a side benefit of that is recruiting members to the board. When people see that a board is actually active and they're doing things, and it's a lot, somebody can connect to it a little better, so.
It will go on for discussion next week. I can't put it on the agenda under new business because it's a set agenda, so I can put it up and then you can. Okay. Anything else? If not, it is 6:57 p.m. This is May 9, 2024. This is the regular meeting of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Item number 1 is roll call.
Begley,
Here?
Hecht,
Here.
Howlett,
Here,
Lopez,
Here.
Grego.
Here. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from the April 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Second.
minutes.
There's a motion by Commissioner Hecht, and a second by Commissioner Howland. Are there any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Begley,
Yes.
Hecht,
Yes,
Howlett,
yes,
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes. Item number 3, the acceptance of the financial report as of the end of April 2024, provided by the Finance Department, City of Trinidad. Motion for approval.
any comments from the chair on the report? No. Sometimes you,
On
some
the
things you
approval
want to highlight.
for the financial report, gotta get it on the floor first.
Okay,
I need a
motion, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Bailey, in a second? Yeah, any questions, comments?
Was there anything you?
Oh, I just like to say, our revenue in 1 month went up by $7,914.
Yeah,
So we've got from TIF through the end of April 2024, $18,147, which is basically brought our running total to $541,237. So we're solid.
We're in business.
Perfect. Not a lot of money by some standards, but it's not bad. So I gotta ask Commissioner Lopez. So there's still more taxes to be paid to mid-year, right?
Yes,
The bulk
June 30th would be the final date for the second half.
for the second
If
half.
you paid your first half, it was April 30th. If you can, February, the end of February was the first half was due.
Okay.
Your second half is due the end of June. If you pay it all in full, you're due April 30th, and most people pay half of it.
So if that being the case, I would expect that our TIF for this year will exceed
It'll increase.
by,
Our projection.
I think we got a total of $21,000 last year. So as, fortunately for us, but unfortunately for the taxpayer. That's where it is, but yeah, that's where we're at.
We'll put it to
We
use.
did pick up over $7,900.
And I did meet with the treasurer on Tuesday after board meetings, and we discussed this, so yeah, we're not seeing a lot of delinquents yet. So some up to the end of June, and sometimes if they don't pay the first half in February, then there's some small penalties they pay, but usually they get it done, so we're on track.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more comments, questions? Roll call.
Bagley?
Yes.
Hecht?
Yes.
Howland?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes. Item number 4, consideration of bills. We have a bill from our attorney, Paul Benedetti, for $90 for legal services in the month, April 2024. $90, is there
Motion to approve the bill to our, for Paul Benedetti, our attorney for legal services, April 2024, in the amount of $90.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Hecht, Commissioner Howlett with a motion, Commissioner Hecht with a second. Any further questions or comments? He did state on there what the billing is for, so that was a beginning point of reviewing the Opera House loan information. Roll call.
Bagley?
Yes.
Hecht?
Yes.
Howland?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes. Item number 5, petitions or communications oral or written. Is there anybody in the sitting audience or anybody attending go-to meetings online that would like to address Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority? I will ask the second time, is there anybody in the sitting audience or is anybody attending via go-to meetings that would like to address Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority? Let the record reflect that no one has come forward. Item number 6, old business, there is none. Item number 7, and I was remiss at the beginning of the meeting, I think our discussion and our agreement was that we would remove the item under new business for the request for extension by Kip Hamden LLLP, is deferred till next month's meeting. So in order to remove it, I need to have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes to table the Kip Hampton request for extension, disposition and development agreement, commencement of construction.
We're amending the agenda, not the minutes.
Oh, the agenda, sorry about that.
So we will be removing Hamden request. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Bagley?
Yes.
Hecht?
Yes.
Howland?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes. Okay, this item, assuming we get the proper information that was requested, should reappear on the July, where are we now? June meeting, sorry. I need those extra months, I get it, I'm putting them out there, I'm turning 73. Item number 8, report by executive director. I don't have anything, but again, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to Desi for helping
Yes.
get these meetings set up and put
Welcome.
together. The help that we get from city staff is invaluable, and I appreciate it. Other than that, I have nothing else to report. Commissioner Howlett?
The city of Trinidad has the opportunity, and we're bidding on a proposal to host the Colorado Creative Industries Summit. Those are the folks behind the Space to Create. That'll be in 2026. We've got a pretty good team putting that together. Be about maybe 300 and some odd people, 250 some hotel rooms there. It goes over 2 days. It's usually a Thursday and a Friday. People come in on a Wednesday. Lots of activities being planned across a bunch of different organizations. The chamber's in there, but I was asked, they reached out with regards to TURA. They're going to be requesting just letters of support of this. And since some of the things that really highlight Trinidad is our architecture, the stuff we're doing to revitalize those things, our buildings and those things, there's gonna be a request as we get closer to that for a letter of support that goes with that bid process to the Colorado Creative Industries Summit. And so that's just something that's gonna be requested, something I'm sure we're probably very interested in doing, this showcase.
Okay, so that's upcoming then?
It's upcoming, yes, sir.
Okay,
Just wanted to give everybody a heads up as that's in play right now.
I think it would behoove us to be able to consider something like that. Mr. Lopez? Is that it, Commissioner?
Yes, yes it is.
Sorry.
No reports this evening. I had some front range rail stuff, but it's the same stuff from last month, so.
Commissioner Head?
Oh, I think I've stated what I needed to say. I'm good.
Mr. Bagley?
I think I'm good too. Thank you.
All right. That being the case, it is 7:05 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, beat you.
Everybody.
There's a second. Second. Commissioner Bailey with the second. If there are no-
Good word,
Are
good
no
word,
dissenting votes, we will consider this meeting adjourned at 7:05.
Thank you, guys.
Good work, Tom.